Hi everyone and welcome to the Empowered Jew podcast. I'm Chavi Israel, your host, speaking to you from Sydney, Australia. After October 7, I found myself in uncomfortable situations, not sure how to respond or navigate. That's why I created the Empowered Jew, first an organization and now a podcast to equip you with the knowledge, skills, and tools surrounding Israel and your Jewish identity. In each episode, we'll explore various topics from multiple perspectives so that you can feel informed, empowered, and proud of who you are. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now we're ready. Go again. Sorry.
My name is Mr. G.
Yes.
It was a nickname that was given to me by a class in Beth Rivkah, a year 10 class. And they just started calling me Mr. G. And I thought, well, that's okay. That's okay. And it's geblieben Mr. G. Everybody knows me as Mr. G.
Yes. So, Mr. G,
Yes.
tell us a little bit. Where were you born? Where were you raised? Your family background?
Okay. I was born in Moscow. And I remember when the Second World War began in Russia, because in Poland, it was a few years before. In Poland, it was 1939. But in Russia, Stalin and Hitler, יימח שמם, they had a pact until Hitler broke the pact and attacked Russia. That was in 1941, June the 22nd. And my father was taken straight to the army. My father served in the army for 5 years and 7 months.
This is Nochem Zalman.
Yes. You remember him?
You know, I don't remember him because it was before my day, but my father remembers Nochem Zalman. He took over Nochem Zalman's job, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, probably he took over some of his...
some of his... Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so... Anyway, this is all not relevant. In Russia at that time, it was an iron curtain. It's literally an iron curtain. We couldn't leave. Anyone can not come in and not get out, especially for Jews. And they would find, I don't know why, what was Stalin's reason for doing it, but we couldn't get out. To live in Russia and do everything in hiding, because they were, was very difficult, very difficult. You needed a lot of money because you have to bribe the authority, and it was difficult. If they wanted to, they could arrest my father straight away and send him off somewhere that wouldn't even know. We went to school. My sister went to a girls' school, and I went to a boys' school, Goyish schools. And at the age of 9, I started grade 2.
Yeah.
Everybody started grade 2 at the age of 9 because of the war. And they came to make a search in our house in the middle of the night. My parents were away in a wedding, Baruch Hashem, that was a big mess, and they found some money, black money. Nobody has money. There was no other way.
Yeah.
And they finished. They wanted to arrest my parents. A wedding in the Lubavitcher family would be a whole night. So in the middle of the night, my mother sent my father to go and check on us. The wedding was not far from us, maybe one tram stop. So my father went, and we lived in a corner, in a small street, and a big corner. And when my father saw from the tram, he saw that there is light. Through the shutters, he could see that there is a light inside the house, and a car was parked outside our house. So nobody has a car, only officials. So he did not get off the tram. He just went into hiding. My mother realized that something is wrong because he didn't come back. And she came, but she didn't want to go in. So she was hiding by a neighbor.
Yes.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, they, luckily, because they are Ganovim, they themselves are Ganovim, they found 250,000 rubles. It's like $250,000. So that's a $250,000. And they made a statement. He had to sign, Ida and I had to sign, my sister and I, and they wrote down 150,000 rubles. And the other 100 goes in the cash in the pocket.
Yes.
Now, they were waiting for my mother or my father, waiting for the parents, but they couldn't wait because they wanted to make sure to hide this 100,000 rubles. So you can't go with an arrest and come with such a big 100,000 rubles, a big packet. What will they do? So, and they didn't trust each other. They both Ganovim, and they left. And that's when my mother, while she was hiding, she came in, and I remember crying, and she took my older sister and she went into hiding, and she told me to go to school and not to come back home, but to go to the tram stop. There was a tram stop not far from us, and wait there, and my auntie will pick me up. That's what happened. So my auntie took me to another family. So and I had another sister, a baby, Ella. We didn't manage to take her out. So they came and they put her under house arrest.
They put
A baby. Yeah, she was 1 year old. She was 1 year old, and they thought that we would not run far away because we wouldn't abandon the baby. So I was hiding in this place for about a month, and my sister too. I didn't have any contact with them. Then one day my mother came and took me and my sister to the train station, gave us a few rubles to buy food on the way, and sent us off to Tashkent. From Moscow to Tashkent takes 6 days and 6 nights. It's very, very far.
And you're in year 2?
By express train, because Tashkent is near Afghanistan. It's in Central Asia.
And you're in year 2, and your sister Ida is in year?
She was 1 year older. Yeah.
So you 3. So you guys are essentially still.
I was 9 and she was 10.
And you're going on this big journey by yourself.
By ourselves.
And your parents stayed meanwhile in Moscow, or your father was already somewhere
My father,
else?
I didn't know where he is.
Yeah.
He was. He didn't sleep in one place more than once, and he moved around.
Why? By the way, why was the KGB? Why did they want your father?
Because they found money, which is Schwarze money.
Okay. But they only found the money when they came to your house. Why did they come to your house?
Somebody dubbed us in.
Okay.
Actually, a cousin of my mother. He was caught. And they. I don't know what they did to him. They probably tortured him, or they threatened him because he wouldn't have dubbed us in if it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
We were in Tashkent for 9 months, and then anyway we got Ella, and we went to Lvov. Lvov is a city on the south. It's already bordering with Poland. Now it is Russia. We had a window of opportunity to be able to leave. What was the thing? When the war broke out in Poland, there were some or quite a lot of Polish Jews who managed to run away to Russia, went east, but ran away from the Nazis before the Nazis caught up with them. And the Russians have treated them very, very, very bad, but 180,000 survived. They survived, and they were allowed to leave Russia and go back to Poland because there was a new prime minister in Poland, and he made a pact with Stalin, whatever. So that was our chance. So we will become Polish. we will change our identities to become Polish. When I say we, it's probably about 300 or 400 families. That's the Lubavitch. Some of the people you know. And so we were in Lvov about 5 or 6 months. Illegal, because in Russia, if you come to a city, you have to register with the police. We will not. And waiting for the papers, for the passports, false passport. And we got it. And on the 1st of December, 1946, we left. I remember we left on Shabbos. We went to the station on Shabbos with trucks. The Rabbonim says you can do it. And the train, for hours it went here and here, because it's for probably changing the tracks to get onto the proper track. So you have to, but we didn't know. So every time it went, everybody was happy. Every time it came back, So anyway, that was very, very cramped. Even one baby died. One baby was died because of the crampedness. My mother, I had another sister, was born in Tashkent. Esther was her name, and she died here, 1957. She had leukemia. So my mother was holding them on her hands for about 20 hours. And my mother was tearing off her sleeves, the other sleeve, in order to have a nappy or something. Then when she finished with herself, she started tearing off from people. It was, anyway. And we went, we were in Poland and in Czechoslovakia, in Austria, and until we came to Paris in 1947 on the 1st of May. We came to Paris, and a lot of families, and we lived in Paris for 2 years. I learned in the yeshiva there, and my father was trying. Look, France was bankrupt because the Nazis have occupied.
Yeah.
There was no industry, nothing. Everything was destroyed. So there was no industry. We couldn't find a job. My father couldn't find a livelihood. And my father is not the only one. The Rivkah Rebbe was trying to solve the problem. People, Anash, who left Russia, should have where to go. So some people went to England. Some people went to Montreal. Some people went to America. And 5 families were chosen to go to Australia. Our family is one of them. And
will you tell us the names of the other 4 families?
Yeah, Kluvgant, Althaus, Serebransky, and Pliskin.
And they all came from Paris originally.
All came from Paris.
So from Paris, the 5 families then went to Australia, to Melbourne.
That's right. Not together. We went first, and Serebransky and Pliskin came 3 months later. And then, it was 35 days on the sea.
I already am feeling nauseous just thinking about it.
Yeah, I was most of the time nauseous.
Oh my gosh.
Most of the time nauseous. I remember the captain was a Greek, very nice person, very nice, a goy. And he was trying to tell my mother he must eat, because I couldn't eat. Couldn't eat. I threw up all the time. Couldn't eat. He must eat, because he hasn't got nothing to throw up. It's just...
Yeah.
Anyway, we arrived.
By the way, did you ever meet the Rebbe when you guys were living in Paris?
Yes, he came to pick up his mother, but he was not a Rebbe yet.
No, I know. He was the Friedrich Rebbe's son-in-law.
Son-in-law, yes.
But you had still an interaction with him.
Not me. I was a little boy.
You remember when he came?
Yeah, 100%. There is in one of the Chabad albums, there is a photograph that he's sitting and Farbringing, and I am sitting on my father's lap. I was only not even 11. When we left Russia, I was 10. I was 10 and a few months. And when the Rebbe came to see us, I was not yet 11. 11, I turned on Shavuos. And the Rebbe came to see us and looked at me,
You were 11 when you were in Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because I thought you were living in Lvov for a few years. But
No, we were there only a few months.
Okay, so you end up in Australia, and then somehow you fought in which war in Israel?
I ended up in Australia. Let me just, one more thing is that Rabbi Abramson lived in Sydney. He was the Roch of the Mizrahi Shul. And he came down to Shepparton to have a look at these creatures that came just now from Russia. And then he noticed me. I was a young boy, just bar mitzvah. My bar mitzvah was on the ship. And he noticed me and asked what am I doing, whatever. So he went to my mother and he said, I want to make a yeshiva in Sydney. I will take him to my home. He'll live with me and he'll make a yeshiva. My mother agreed because she had nothing else to do for me.
There wasn't a yeshiva yet?
Not yet. The yeshiva, Reb Zalman established the yeshiva and he wasn't there yet. He wasn't in Australia yet.
Yes.
So I went to Sydney. So I was in Sydney till Pesach. And that was August, Tisha B'Av. So till Pesach, I came home for Pesach, and I didn't go back to Sydney because in Shepparton they already opened the yeshiva. So I joined the yeshiva in Shepparton.
You lived in Sydney for a few months?
7 months. I was a young boy. I had a time.
Did you feel homesick?
Well, no, I hardly ever. I've been already away from home.
Yeah.
I've been in before Tashkent and in Tashkent.
You already had gone through so much, living in Sydney and Rabbi Abraham.
It was a machaya.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a yeshiva. Did it last at yeshiva?
No.
Okay.
When Melbourne started, when Shepparton opened up, the yeshiva in Sydney disintegrated.
Yeah.
There was no dormitory. The boys used to come from school and they would learn a little bit. And I lived at the Abramson, but they lived at home. Yeah. That's not a yeshiva. This is fizzles out. Okay, so now I grew up here in Melbourne. Over here, the yeshiva was 2 years in Shepparton and 2 years in Burwood. 1954, the yeshiva, the board, whatever, decided that it's not growing. Not only it's not growing, a boy who finishes, is not being replaced, and it can't go on. So they bought 92 Hosmer Street. It was a big Victorian house, and it was owned by Aid Lieber. That's why it's written Lieber House. Lieber, and he sold it to the yeshiva for £18,000. It was quite a lot of money. Then Reb Zalman went to him and he said, we don't pay interest. We are Jewish, we don't pay interest. So he said, okay, no interest. And in the end, we paid off about 7,000 and 11,000 was left like a debt. He passed away. His son, Aaron, took it over and he gave it away to us.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah. So that was Hotham. So in Hotham Street, and I was already 18 years old. And Zalman wrote to the Rebbe and he said he needs me to teach. My father was very angry. My father didn't want me to become a teacher. But the Rebbe already said yes, we couldn't do anything. And later on, I wrote to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, I can do other things, but I must still remain part-time teaching. Because my father had a heart attack, I had to go and help him. The Rebbe gave him permission, but as I was growing, I was very, very successful in teaching the boys. Very successful, they liked me, and I didn't have any problems with discipline. And I was green like anything. I didn't learn anywhere I didn't even go to school, only 1 year. grade 1 and a little bit in grade 2. But
What did you teach them?
I taught them Chumash and Mishnah and Gemara. But then the time came that I needed to look for a shidduch. Melbourne had a few nice families, girls and everything. It's not a desert. Adas had very nice families and so on. But no one had a beard. No one had a beard. Even in Adas, the most religious ones, they didn't grow a beard. The only beard with Melbourne was the Shechet, Rosenbaum, and our Lubavitcher, a few people. And in my age, no one. No one. Arnold was 4 years older than me. At that age, 4 years is a lot. We didn't have much to do with each other.
Did he have a beard? He had a beard, Rabbi Arnold.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So he went to New York and he was sitting there. The Rebbe did not. All the time I wanted to go to the Rebbe for a Tishrei or something. The Rebbe wrote. To me, he didn't answer. But my teacher, Rabbi Pliskin, wrote for me and recommended I should go to a yeshiva. And the Rebbe was very upset. And the Rebbe writes, instead of encouraging him not to go, you're encouraging him to go. It is a yeshiva in Melbourne. And it doesn't matter how much he is learning, because the Alter Rebbe says in Torah Oyer, there is a sefer which is Torah Oyer. The Alter Rebbe quotes a pasuk from Tanakh, Tzedakah teroimem goy. The meaning is that tzedakah lifts the nation. So the Alter Rebbe says, whoever gives tzedakah in Gashmis and Kol Shkein, how much more so tzedakah in Ruchnius means to give away his time for others. Nasim moiche velibe zakim elef po'amim kocha. His brain and his heart become crystal, like crystal, 1,000-fold. That means the Rebbe told it to me when I was there, but he also wrote to me what he wrote to Rebbe as the page of Gemara that I'm learning in Melbourne, together with because I was Syria Gurus Chabad, I made camps and Mesiba Shabbos and all that. This one page is like 1,000 pages if you would be in another place.
So the Rebbe never wanted you to leave,
No.
not even to go to New York for Tishrei.
No.
Not even.
No, but once he did give permission in 1955, and I went. I was 19 years old. It was a extraordinary experience. But I'm getting older. So the Rebbe wrote to me, and I wrote to the Rebbe about what's the condition in Melbourne, about the beer, about that. So the Rebbe wrote to me that I should go to Israel. And that's where I'll find my shidduch. And the Rebbe write, but if I go to Israel, and the Rebbe writes because it's easier in Israel with a shidduch. There's a bigger crowd. And he said you should go in 5 months' time, and this 5 months you should utilize and look for someone in Melbourne, maybe. And the Rebbe wrote, do not compromise on the beard. And the Rebbe writes because he says that the beard is only a symptom. If you have a chiluke deis, if you have a difference of opinion or you have a clash, because with the beard there will be other clashes in life, and that's not the way. So I went to Israel, and the rest is history.
Okay, so you're.
No, and I still didn't stay there. We got married. We came back straight away, but I promised her that we'll come in 3 or 4 years.
Back to Israel.
Back to Israel, and I had to fulfill my promise. She comes from a family, they are very Zionistic. They all with birds. I mean, they are Alexander Chassidim, Polish. but they, how come that you live in Chutzlar? They couldn't understand.
So wait.
I
just want to pause you for a second. So you're 19 years old.
That was already not 19. That was already 24.
Oh, you were already 24.
19,
wow, you were old, Miss G.
24, that's when I got married.
So you went to Israel specifically to find the shidduch.
Yeah.
And then you met your wife Chava.
Yes.
Did you was it a shidduch? Is that how you met her? Or?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you because the Rebbe was pushing me to go. And I was still hesitating. I was looking here, whatever. The Rebbe was pushing me to go. In the end, I went, and two bochrim from the yeshiva, from the Lubavitcher yeshiva, came to pick me up from the airport.
Yes.
These two bochrim were my chaverim, when I was a little boy in Tashkent. We learned in Cheder together.
Oh, wow.
They brought me to the yeshiva. I was sitting there, there was a Fabrenger. It was Rosh Chodesh. So Reb Shlomo Chaim was an angel. Reb Shlomo Chaim asked me, "Was bist du gekommen? What did you come for?" So I said, I wasn't embarrassed. I said, yeah. So he said he came to the yeshiva to look for the shidduch. And he gave me the address of Pini Althaus, that's Mr. Althaus' brother, who lived in the Rehov King George 9. And I went there, so he gave me something to drink and so on, and then he says, let's go to Dam Mincha. So we went to the shul to Dam Mincha, and it's a big shul, and a lot of minyanim in the yard, the Hira minyan, and in the yard was damning label Gansburg. Label Gansburg, they come from Moscow, and he, Pini Althuis, has introduced me. This is Nochem Zalman's son. And what did he come for? So I said, so he gives me his address and says, come to me on Motzei Shabbos. I've got some idea. I came to him on Motzei Shabbos. Remember, I only arrived on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
And his wife is my father-in-law's sister. She's an auntie to Chava. And he said, I've got a niece, and are you interested? I said, at the moment, I'm interested in anything. I've got no reason to say no, or yes, I'm interested. And that's how it began.
Wow.
It took a few months.
You dated for a few months?
We didn't date straight away. Not straight away. And anyway, in Yerushalayim, there are some
rules,
minhagim, whatever. So I had to go according to their minhagim.
That must have been very interesting. You're Russian, Australian.
Yes.
You know, and then you're entering then Israel. It's like a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah. Okay. So let me come back to this. I was there. Okay. So I got married, and so we come to Melbourne. We were in Melbourne 4 or 5 years, and we came to Israel to settle.
To live. That was
Aliyah.
the agreement.
That was the agreement. I went through very, very difficult times.
Was the Rebbe, by the way, okay with you and your wife and Chava?
And two children.
And wow, did the Rebbe give you his
The Rebbe gave permission, but I could see that the Rebbe didn't like it.
Okay. But shalom bayis.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we were there. Yeah, we were there for 3-4 years or something. And so first of all, I had to go and get training with the army. They took me to the army. I had to have training.
That compulsory, even though you were making aliyah?
So what?
I thought, like nowadays, when it comes to going to the army, if you make aliyah, I don't think you have to go to the army.
Well, it was different there.
Then even if you were making aliyah,
yes,
it was compulsory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then the 6-day war broke out. And of course, it took me straight away. The war actually broke out already on the 15th of May, but not yet soldiers fighting, but it was more the politicians were running around New York and Paris and so on, because Nasser, the president of Egypt, has closed the Tehran Straits, Mozzarella Tehran, and that this is a declaration of war because Israel now is got nowhere to get out, only the Mediterranean Sea. And anyway, I was taken on the 26th of May, and I actually liked it. I liked it. I wasn't worried. For some reason, I was worried, but not for me. I was worried for my wife and children.
Where's your wife and your children? What part
At
of
first
Israel?
in Bnei Brak, and then when my father-in-law, he lived in Yerushalayim, when he found out that I went to the army, he came and picked up my wife and children and took them to Yerushalayim. Why? The logic was, Yerushalayim is a divided city with a barbed wire. Now the Jordanians will not shoot there because the distance from them to us is the same as from us to them, and they wouldn't. Why
it's
it's suicide. But the truth, but the fact is that they did started shelling when the war broke out, and I had we had 130 soldiers, and we were stationed outside of the Jordanian village by the name of Budrus. You can go on Google and put in Budrus, and it will tell you the whole history of Budrus.
Where is it?
In the east, like in the east.
East Jerusalem.
East, not in Jerusalem, east of the airport, let's say.
And what unit were you in? What unit in the army?
Just, I was, they call it in Israel, a jobnik.
Oh, you were a jobnik.
Yeah, whatever I had to do, whatever they gave me to do, I did. I was trained on a bazooka. Bazooka is a anti-tank cannon. In America, in the Second World War, was used all the time. It has one fault. When you shoot with a bazooka, it leaves a trail. So you have to quickly change your position and shoot and run somewhere else, because they can see where if you hit them, that's okay. But if you don't,
then they know where you are.
They know where you are.
So you're a jobnik during the 6-day war.
Yeah.
You weren't actually in combat, so to speak.
Yeah. There was no other thing. Everybody was in combat. Israel is a tiny little country.
So you were in combat?
Yes.
Even though you were a jobnik?
That doesn't matter.
So tell us about your experience.
Okay. I on the first Friday when they took us there, the Samal, that means the sergeant, came and said 10% can go home for Shabbos. Why did they do it? They did it to trick the Egyptians. Don't forget, Israel's army was not that big at that time. The population was only 2 million. And if you let them go home, 10% of soldiers, they will go to the beach. Yeah, and the Egyptians will know, their spies will know that that means Israel is not ready to fight. That's what they wanted the Egyptian think. Wow. So who is going home? The one who's got 3 children and above. I had already 3 children. So I was supposed to go. However, the track that took us to civilization came at 7 o'clock. Lichtbenchen was 7:25. So there was no way that I can get anywhere. I'll be in the middle somewhere. So I gave it to some. I gave up my do as you like, and so he said, "I'll let you go Motzei Shabbos."
I just want to say how in awe I am of you, because there's a war going on. You don't know what the future would bring. You have an opportunity to spend Shabbos with your wife and your 3 children, and because you didn't want to break Shabbos,
How can I?
I'm just saying I'm in awe of you, that's all.
All right, thank you. So I was told that I'll next night. Next night, the truck came again at 7:00. It was still Shabbos. Didn't want to wait, and I begged them, and I was very upset that I'm missing out the second time. The sergeant, who his name was Victor, he was a tall man, very like a big bear. Everybody loved him. And he came and he put his hand around my shoulders and said, "Shmuel, I admire you that you gave up because of Shabbos. You gave up twice. So therefore, tomorrow night, I'll give you 48 hours, not 24 hours." Now, 48 hours and 24 hours is, you can't compare it. 24 hours, by the time you come, you already have to think of going back. But 48 hours is so I was waiting a whole day. 3:00, there was a bulletin on the radio that Iraq has sent in 2 divisions. A division is about 800 soldiers, 2 divisions into Jordan to help Jordan in the war. So this sergeant came and said, "Sorry, Shmuel, kol hachufshot butlu, all leave is cancelled. You can't go." I was devastated. I got up on Monday morning. This is the Monday morning which the war broke out. But I didn't know, and Victor also didn't. Nobody knew. Only the ones, the pilots. But I got up very early at 5:00, and I went to his tent, and I told him, "Look, I'm not you won't have nachas from me. I'm not an effective soldier anymore. I'm so upset. You'll have to let me go for a few hours, at least a few hours." So he had rachmanas on me, and he says, "Okay, you can go. You have to be back at 3:00.
By the way, can I pause you? I'm just actually curious. Being a firm Jew, was that unique at that time in the army or not?
There was another few from Jews. I only had the full respect of everybody.
No one mistreated you?
No, not at all. Not when training and not in the war. On the contrary, they admired me because I didn't look for excuses. I think I did whatever I was told.
And then Shabbos, did the army at that time accommodate people who kept Shabbos in the way of like?
Well, normally yes, but unfortunately, our chaplain became sick, and we didn't have a chaplain. And Victor says, "Shmuel, you become the chaplain." I said, "I don't want to fight with everybody because they will want to warm up the tea on Shabbos and so on." The education department of the army said you can be Mechalel Shabbos because
Yeah.
so nothing. They made tea and so on. I didn't interfere. On on the next day came a big officer, a rabbi, Rabbi Goran. Do you remember Rabbi Goran? He's the one who blew the shofar at the Koisel and so on. And who is here in charge? I didn't say anything, but he saw me with a beard. He saw me, so he said, "How did you allow them to?" I said, "Look, I got a telegram from the education department." So he said, "This does not belong to the education department. They belong to the Rabbanut, and they can't be Mechal Shabbos unless we allow the
Unless it's pikuach nefesh, basically.
And yeah, well, he was very angry at me. I think he was wrong. That's my opinion. But on Monday, I told you that I got up very early and I asked him to let me go, and he did let me go for a few hours. So before he had a chance to change his mind, I took my talis and film, I took my gun, I took my thing, and I ran. I ran to the main road to get a lift. There is I couldn't get the public transport, and I got a lift. Everybody. It was a very interesting time. Everybody stopped for everybody. The 6-day war brought people together like now, and so I got picked up by a motorbike. I never rode a motorbike, and I rode me to Yerushalayim, and I came, and my wife was screaming. She couldn't recognize me because I was very, very sunburned. Okay, so then at about 11 o'clock, the Jordanians started shelling Sugizund.
Thank you.
They started shelling Yerushalayim.
And meanwhile, you're there visiting your family.
Yeah, and so we went down to the area shelter. All the women and children, because there was no men. The men were in the army, and I felt very awkward, the only man. And the kids were crying because there was loud explosions.
Yeah.
The kids were crying. So, being teachers, my wife and I, we took the kids and we danced with them and David Melech Israel, whatever. At 1 o'clock, we had a radio there. At 1 o'clock, on the radio, they started the army. The army started saying code names of different units that they didn't give names. They just had code names to go back. That means the soldiers from this must go back to their unit. And I'm listening, and they didn't say anything about my unit. So I rang up. There is a telephone number which is called Ktzin Hayir. He's an officer of the city, and you need something, and you call. So I called, and I told him which unit I'm in. And he says, what are you doing here? None of your unit they're all in the army. Nobody is out. How come that you're out? So I said, look, it's a long story. So he said, you have to go back. You have to go back. So I said, they're shelling in the street. So he said, are you a mouse or a man?
Oh, wow. A mouse or a man?
So I had no choice. I took my things and I went.
How did you?
My wife,
you got a ride back.
I got a lift with a police car, but not to my unit. Not far, about 8 kilometers. I had to walk.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm walking, and they are shooting. They are shooting pagazim, rockets, whatever. I wasn't afraid of myself. I was very afraid about my wife and children. What will be? What if the Jordanians come? They will shechten more. So, as I'm walking, it was already about 4 o'clock. I hear suddenly somebody jumping out from a thing and calls me Shmulik. His name is Shmuel Gurewicz, and he was the principal of Beth Rivkah in Kfar Chabad. And we davened in the same shul. We were good friends. He was taken to the army a few days after me. So there was a Fabrengen in New York, Lag BaOmer. The famous, the Rebbe spoke to the children, and the Rebbe spoke about Eretz Yisrael, that the Rebbe should give them victory. So we said Shalom Aleichem, and I shed a tear because I was emotional. I said, yeah, because of my family. So he says, why are you crying? So I said, I left my wife in a shelter. I don't know what to be. So he said, don't worry. The Rebbe said that Israel will have a victory. And he really made my sort of...
He uplifted you.
Uplifted, yes. So we finished talking, and he's hungry. It was a whole day there lying. He's hungry, so he said, do you have anything? So I said, I got 2 oranges. So I gave him both oranges. This will play a role in a minute. And I came there to my unit at 5 o'clock. And I could not find my tent. I couldn't find it. Everything changed. So I went to Victor, and he said, why are you coming 5 o'clock? I told you to come at 3 o'clock. I said, it was not in my...
control. It was very difficult, yeah.
So he gave a big smile. And again, with his big arm around my shoulders, I said, Shmuel, עכשיו אני יודע, now I know, שיש אלוקים בשמיים. Exactly at 3 o'clock, there was a direct hit into your tent.
No way. Wow.
So what saved me really is Shabbos, because I didn't go Shabbos and I went today. If I would have gone Shabbos, I would be in the camp on this.
Did your other comrades or friends, I guess?
No, the 3 got killed. 3 got killed, but not from this incident. They got killed by a sniper. 3 soldiers.
So no one was in the tent. It happened to be that the tent was empty.
Nobody was in the tent. Wow. And then on Shabbos, the war broke out on Monday. So Monday and Tuesday was Sinai. Wednesday and Thursday was the West Bank. And Friday on Shabbos was Syria, Golan, Ramat Golan. It's not a 6-day war, it's a 2-day war. There are 3 wars in these 6 days. And we, on Shabbos, it was Rosh Chodesh Av, and we boarded a bus, and the bus took us all over the West Bank. We had to clean up terrorists and so on, clean up the place. And the Palestinians, what we want to call him, they were running, or they were going with their families, and they had their pekelach on their head, and we had biscuits. So we gave them our biscuits, we gave them our water. And
was that from your kindness or
from everybody's kindness?
It wasn't like the army said.
No.
Help them.
No. All the soldiers were equally tzaddikim. I will tell you, they are tzaddikim. Yes, they may not keep Shabbos, they may not do other things, but they have the serious nefesh mamash, and they're tzaddikim.
I said, including you.
Okay, at that time I was a tzaddik, but I'm not anymore a tzaddik. Okay, so that was, and then we went near Ramallah. Was a school, a police academy, the big building, and a lot of outbuildings and so on. So that's where we were in our pluga, and we were there till the 2nd of July. And they still continued, everybody, but my balabos, I had a job in a factory, and we were doing export. Israel was very, very much interested in export because they got foreign currency. Because if they have to buy ammunition and so on, they need foreign currency. So my balabos applied to the army that he needs me. To the factory, I was a production manager. So he needs me if they can. I got cleared. I got.
You were
Go
allowed to
home.
leave. So before we move after the 6-day war, I just want to know, were you involved in any actual battle?
Yes.
So can you tell us about
Yeah.
that?
This. I'll tell you. This Budrus is only a small shtetl, a small town, but it has a police station which every wall is a meter. Very fortified. It is standing on a hill, and from this hill where you're standing, you can see every single plane that lands in Ben Gurion Airport. And it was very, very dangerous for Israel. This town poses a big danger. They can just shoot off every plane. So it was our thing to capture it.
And where was this town located?
That's in the east. I told you.
Oh, it was in the east.
In the east, in Jordan. And we
That's
were on the border, and we conquered it on Monday night.
So it was still the 6-day war.
That's right.
So you actually had to engage in battle with the Jordanians.
That's right.
But they were shooting at you, and you were shooting at them.
That's right.
And did they ever Baruch Hashem today? But did
no.
Did you have any
They were afraid. They were actually afraid because Moshe Dayan became, on Shabbos, he was appointed to be the defense minister. He had a reputation of a very, very good soldier for Israel, and they were afraid of him. He had this patch on his eye.
Yeah.
So when we were told by the Arabs themselves in this town that when he became defense minister, a lot of people from this town ran away.
Wow, interesting. So they were so scared that you guys, in a way, had it easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the war, everyone had to stay in the army, but then because your balabas said that he needed you, you were able to go back and resume normal life, so to speak. And then how long were you living in Israel?
Till 1971.
And so how come you moved back to Australia?
All right. My father told me that my father came to visit me, and he told me that he was in a chiddush by the Rebbe, and he complained to the Rebbe about his job. He didn't like to snore. He didn't like it. So the Rebbe told him, he said, apparently the Anash in Melbourne do not appreciate the importance of their work. Because if in the whole world is a hafotzas hamayones, in Melbourne it is tchias ameisim mamash. And the Rebbe continued, and that's why I had a war with your son. He should not go away.
Wow.
And now, if it is a union from Shalom Bayis, don't bring it up. He told my father, don't bring it up, leave it. But if possible, you have to bring him even for a short while.
Back to Australia.
Okay, so.
By the way, did the Rebbe ever say to you, wow, Shmulik, I'm so proud of you that you were fighting in the army in the 6-day war? Did he ever mention that did he ever say you're a tzaddik? Like, did the Rebbe ever?
I wrote to him about what happened, and the Rebbe just quoted a pasuk. We say this in Shacharis. Means you have to let people know. Tell the story. That's what the Rebbe said.
But that was it.
Yeah. And I was once in Simchas Torah Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, let all the Israeli soldiers go for a coffee. So I was already here in Melbourne. I was already not in Israel. So I didn't go. I just stood there. And the Rebbe turns to me and said, why am I not going? So I said, because I'm already not.
Back in Melbourne.
Yeah. So the Rebbe said, once a chayal is always a chayal.
Wow.
That's what he said. So I went.
So you went. And by the way, I'm just curious, the Chabad attitude at the time, were they, like, as in when you told, let's say you were in Crown Heights then, that's in Hastara, were they like, wow?
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah.
were impressed, or was it, how did they react to the fact that you were in the army?
No, because I lived there. I lived in Israel. Okay, you have to go to the
Everyone
army.
had to.
Every
But did they have this respect for you, or it was just
I don't know. I don't know. Look, everything is based on what the Rebbe spoke about before. When the state of Israel was established, 1948, the Rebbe was very, very upset with the religious Zionist. Why? Because they said that this is Aschalta di Geula. This is the beginning of the Geula. The Rebbe was very much against this concept. He says the Geula will come through Mashiach, and it's not Aschalta di Geula. It's not Aschalta di Geula. Look, I don't come from America. And the truth of the matter is that I now understand why the Rebbe didn't want me to go to New York to learn. He didn't want me to be brought up on Crown Heights. The Rebbe was a visionary, and he could see that my neshama or my being is doesn't fit with everybody in Crown Heights. So he didn't want me to come. He wanted me to remain in Melbourne.
He knew that that's where you would be a shining star.
I don't know.
Yes, of course he did. It's so interesting because I guess, yeah, Crown Heights, they think differently to us.
They look. Rabbi Grona told me that he made fun of the Jews in America, and he says that during the Second World War, the man comes from work and sits down on his soft chair and takes a newspaper, and his wife is bringing him slippers and a glass of juice, and he's reading the paper, and reports would come from Europe. Helen, give me another glass of juice. Rabbi Grona made fun of them. They didn't experience persecution. They didn't experience anti-Semitism. Now we've got this is driven by the Arabs, but at that time they didn't experience it, and they can talk whatever they want. When Israel was established, I remember I was in Paris. I was a young boy of 12, and Rabbi Yisrael Noach, who was from the older Hasidim, he started when he was told. We told him, the boys, because we were playing outside, and it was Shabbos, and we didn't have any news or any. We didn't know. We knew that there's going to be, but so the French neighbors told us that Israel is, announced independence. We were only young, and I don't know whether we understood the significance, but I remember that we ran to shul. It was Shabbos afternoon, and there was Shalashudas, and we went straight to Rabbi Shmuel Gurewicz. Rabbi Shmuel Gurewicz passed away when he was 101, and we told him that Israel was independent. So he started crying.
So Rabbi Yisrael Noach started crying when
he found out. Yes.
And he's a Chabad Chassid.
Very big Chabad Chassid. He started crying.
Wow.
I want to tell you something else I remember.
Yes.
A few weeks after Yom HaTzmaut, the first Yom HaTzmaut, a representative of Agudas Yisrael is the religious party. A representative came to Paris to raise funds. His name was Ben Yaakov. His name was Yankelevich, but in Israel, Ben Yaakov. He was a little man, a Gerech Husid, but he was a brilliant speaker, an orator. When you look at him, he wouldn't because he was so small. Well, and he spoke, and people got so emotional. They spread the organizers spread a big sheet on the stage, and the women threw their rings and their earrings for Israel.
This is in Paris in the year 1948.
48.
And women had given their jewelry to
Yes.
support the state of Israel.
Yes.
And this is a Gera Chassid from Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, they needed money. Agudas Israel needs money. It's a party, but they are a legitimate party.
In Israel. So
Yes.
this is to support Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, and my father took me to this event. Yeah. He was sitting here, I was sitting here, and he was sitting Peretz Mochkin. Peretz Mochkin is the grandfather of Levi Mochkin. And he was a Chassid Sharid, and he tells my father that it's a mess that I have only one pair of pants. If I would have two, I would throw it also. That means he would give anything
to Israel.
Okay, so we had a problem with the Rebbe not agreeing that this is a Salta de Geula, but it's not a Geula, but it's a Yeshua. It's a so the American Hasidim don't appreciate because they never suffered. But we Europeans, we went through the Second World War, we went through Stalin, we went through hard times. So when now we got our own country, well, who cares if it's a Salta de Geula, not a Salta de Geula?
So do you think that from the perspective where we're saying that Eretz Yisrael is a Yeshua, do you think, obviously it's not the beginning of Mashiach, but the Rebbe...
the Rebbe only later said it's the beginning of Mashiach. Only later, but then in 1948 he didn't say it. He was very, very zealous. He was against it.
He was against it in the beginning, the Rebbe?
Yeah, but I think what happened is that the 6-Day War has changed his perspective. The 6-Day War was a miraculous war. It was a miraculous war. And you can see Nissi Mamish.
Yeah.
I was told that after the war, there was in one of the academies in America, the Army Academy, they had a guest speaker, a big general or so on, and he was speaking about different strategies, and he brought as example Vietnam, South Korea, or not. He brought different battles, and he did not mention anything about the 6-Day War. That was just a few months after the war. There was sitting a Yid he was an officer, sitting a Yid in the crowd, and he was so angry, anti-Semitic. Didn't mention anything about the 6-Day War. So after everybody is gone, he comes up to him and he says, "Sir, why didn't you mention anything about the 6-Day War? This is..." So he said, "I'm a teacher, and I have to teach these officers or whatever. So I can only bring examples from wars, battles, which was al pi derech hateva. It was
within the realms of nature."
Yeah, but this was a miraculous war. That's the guy said. That's a miracle. He said, "I can't bring an example from a miracle. I can't expect another miracle."
So just going back, so you think that the Rebbe in the beginning wasn't super supportive of the state of Israel?
No.
So
No. The Rebbe was very much for Israel, and he wanted Israel to succeed economically and in every way, and he was demanding all kinds of things from the government because he knew all of them. Everyone came to the Rebbe. The Rebbe only this concept that this is a Schalta de Geula, this concept he did not agree with. So I don't know whether he ever changed his mind. I'm not saying, I don't know. But from the 6-Day War, the sikhs about Israel are completely different. The Rebbe's words are completely different. I think that has affected him, the human being.
So the Rebbe's perspective was he always supported the state of Israel.
Yeah, because of people.
Because nothing to do with the secular state.
Yeah, it's the people, they're Jewish people.
And that they can rule themselves and have autonomy over themselves.
Yeah, he demanded that they should do things like Yehudi, do things al pidin. He demanded it. Didn't help him, but he demanded it. That's his job. That's his job. He's a Rebbe.
He's a Rebbe, yeah. And then later on, now we're ending. You leave Israel, you come back to Australia.
1971. Mrs. Hertz, who was the first principal, was retiring. Rabbi Grona called me, and he told me that he wants me to come and take Beth Rivkah. And I, although wanted to come back, but I was afraid to take Beth Rivkah. It's an academic school. What do I know? So I declined the first time. Then a few months later, he came to marry his daughter, Miriam, with Rabbi Telsner.
Yeah.
And he calls me after the wedding. Chava answered the phone. Chava, I want to eat breakfast tomorrow. Would you invite me for breakfast? I said, of course. So he came. We had a very small kitchen. He sat down. There was no room for anybody else. And he persuaded. Now, we didn't like Bnei Brak. We lived in Bnei Brak. We didn't like it. Was sticky and hot. And we wanted to go to Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, the weather is much more pleasant. Yeah. But it costs double. An apartment then costs double. So, and I didn't have the money. So, nothing. I put it out of my mind. Here, I told Chana that we can go for 3-4 years and we can save and we can buy something in Yerushalayim now and pay it off. And that's what it's how she got persuaded because she wanted to go to Yerushalayim so much. And we bought an apartment in Yerushalayim and paid it off, and I paid it off, and I sold it, and I got another apartment, and so on and so forth.
But you never actually moved back to Yerushalayim?
No. So we wanted to, and in the end, Chala agreed to go to America and to speak with the Rebbe about it. She was sure that the Rebbe would let us go. We came and we spoke, and the Rebbe said to her, "You should know that the shlichus in Beth Rivkah is not just mine, but it comes from the Rebbeinu Shalom himself."
Wow.
So, look, Chava comes from a Hasidic family, not Lubavitcher, but a Hasidic family. Alexander. And the Rebbe is saying it so strongly. We already stayed.
Wow.
For her, that was a big Mesiras Nefesh.
I'm sure. Wow, Mr. G, I am so in awe of you. Just your whole life story from when you were a child and all the trauma that you went through, real trauma, really. And you come to Australia and you move to Israel and then you fight in a war and then relocating back to Australia when your wife, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Look, you created an empire and you are my principal, although in year 8, you weren't my principal anymore.
Retired?
You retired when I was in year 8.
No.
Everyone speaks about the legendary Mr. G, and I remember coming to your office once and you had like 1 million pins on a board. I don't know, was it everyone's schedule or something?
Yeah, it's a timetable.
So I remember that. And I remember, I guess, this feeling in Beth Rivkah also because Mrs. Blasovsky, your sister, was our principal in the primary school, but we always had this love for Eretz Yisrael. Even though we didn't, on Yom HaTzmaut we got free falafel, and, some girls would wear their Israeli flags. But I always felt this deep love for Eretz Yisrael. It was just the energy of the school, and I really think that is credit to you.
I take a little bit of credit. I don't know all the credit, but there were two girls who came from Mizrahi families. Very good families, but they were very, a little bit wild, a little bit. It was Yom Ha'atzmaut, and in lunchtime, they went out to the tennis court and were dancing with the flag.
Yeah. We had those in my days too.
Mrs. told them off. She did the wrong thing. You don't tell them off, just ignore it.
Let them be.
Let them be. And she sent them to me. Now, I already told the teachers a million times, when you send to me, I have to know what's you're sending to me. I don't know why, what. You have to send me with a note or something. I should know what. So they said to me, we didn't do anything wrong. It was lunchtime and we danced. I thought that they're right. So what shall I do? Well, I don't want to speak against Mrs. Cohen too. I have to support my teachers. In the drawer of my desk, there was a bottle of wine and a few plastic cups. I took out this wine and I gave this girl a little bit, and then this girl a little bit. Not allowed to give children alcohol.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, but I did. I said, look, the day is a great day. Eden had a very big issue. It was a big nisim. And so say l'chaim and wish Israel all the best. And that I didn't talk about the dancing. I didn't. Now what shall I do? Whatever I'll say, it'll be wrong. You don't do it. So one of these girls, her name was Michal, wrote it in the paper later on when she already grew up, that she wanted to write something about me. She wrote this, that how wise I was by not engaging with it.
Not admonishing them.
Yeah, don't make a fuss.
And last question, and then I know you're probably very tired, but apparently in your day and age, this is the rumor, that you wrote to the Rebbe asking if we could do an Israel trip. Tell me about that, because I want to let you know, by the way, and no names, that in my year, we're very blessed that we got to go to Israel. And then there was one more year, 2 years below me. That was the only 2 times in the
and I sent him the Rebbe's, it was in writing, so he doesn't have to believe me. I sent him the Rebbe sends there. I asked the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said no. And he wrote, the Rebbe said, why no? Why? One of the things, one reason he said is Ibud Momen Israel. You are wasting Yiddish money. That's the number one. Then the Rebbe said, and the Rebbe even said, that means it doesn't matter what even you have a donation or something, but it's still Yiddish money. And then the Rebbe writes that you've got a bunch of girls and you are dependent on other people to organize billeting and so on. What happens if somebody messes up? You are stuck with a bunch of girls. What will you do?
You mean if something goes wrong when you're...
Yeah, something in a booking or whatever, it can happen. So the Rebbe negated it completely.
You ever ask the Rebbe again?
Yes.
And the same response?
No. There was a fax that I got from Label Groner, and the Rebbe writes, I've got it. The Rebbe writes, the answer that I've given you then, that was 12 years later, is still in effect.
Well, I just want to say that when I went to Israel, it was the most unbelievable trip, and I loved it.
I know, but he shouldn't have done it, because I didn't do it because the Rebbe said he shouldn't have done it.
I just was curious about, because I remember hearing the Rebbe letter. I do know that the Rebbe's opinion did change. But anyways, we're not going to get into that. But Mr. G, I want to thank you so much.
Where is this going to go?
This is already on.
Instagram.
Yes.
But besides Instagram?
Spotify, eventually.
What is it?
Spotify is a platform where people can listen to podcasts, to music, whatever they want to listen to, whatever they're interested in.
All right. Okay.
Do you have a message for the youngsters?
I think that this generation is much healthier and better than my generation. We were not as honest as the youth now. They are much more honest. Yes, they may misbehave and so on, but deep down, they are a very, very worthy generation. I really think so. I'm a big fan of this generation.
Amazing.
Now, if my students were misbehaving, there was a reason why. There was a reason why, and not always can you blame the students. So it could be
So
many things. It could be at home. Could be.
Yeah. Well, Mr. G, thank you again.
Pleasure.
All the brachas and nachas and only simchas